Alright now. Hello everybody, welcome to this forecast. Today we'll be discussing about a very strong storm system that could bring a potential tornado outbreak across from the Midwest down to the Southern Plains. It is looking like a very concerning setup to me, but we are talking about long track violent tornadoes, baseball to softball size hail, and damaging wind gusts up to 80 plus miles an hour. And this is going to be the system we're talking about right now. It's off the California coast and here in the Pacific. We have that main low right here just off that coast. And going through later today into tomorrow, Sunday, April 27th, this cell is going to move off to the northeast. And as this ejects off into the east, we have a strong, potent jet stream off to the northeast, roughly reaching 70 to 80 knots from central Kansas into southern Minnesota. And this is where the strongest storms are anticipated, but we will still have some strong jet streams behind it, closer into Oklahoma, Texas, where we are anticipating more supercells to take off. And as the system does progress off into the northeast, we are expecting additional development from northern New York all the way back into Oklahoma and Texas. But as that first storm goes by, we have a second one out here in the Four Corners region of Utah, Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico. And into Wednesday, we will have another threat for severe weather from that secondary system. Then for a few days after that, it's looking fairly calm. Let's go ahead and look into temperatures throughout the days. Right now, there's some pretty cool temperatures right now in the north. That boundary roughly being Oklahoma, Kentucky, Missouri. In the south, still 60s, but to the north, we're talking 30s and even 40s. But going into later in the weekend, we are going to be seeing a very sharp rise in overall temperatures going into Monday. And towards the peak of Monday, we're talking about 1 to 3 o'clock. We're anticipating mid to upper 70s to even low 80s in some areas, particularly in western Oklahoma, up through central Kansas, eastern Nebraska, and far western Iowa. Really have a dry line starting to set up there, and likely helping those temperatures rise just a bit there. But right now, the main forcing will be off to the north, where we do have a level 4 moderate risk in the day 3 outlook, which we'll get to here in a minute. But going into 3 o'clock p.m. here, and even 6 o'clock p.m., we have starting to see falling temperatures and a cold front starting to quickly smash down through the plains. And we can clearly see it kind of here as well. Here's that sharp cold front we can clearly see there. But we'll be keeping a close eye on this entire system and the temperature changes. Going over to the dew points. Right now, we still have a rising amount of dew points as the system comes off the coast. Out here in California, we'll have, as it ejects into the plains, it will start to bring up a lot of moisture. Going into Sunday and Monday, just watch how we just have a flow of moisture rising into the plains. And we can clearly see a dry line setting up here and cold front. Looks like a bit of a cold front right here. You have the dry line extending southward. And that will provide a little bit of a lift. Not a lot, but maybe enough to get like 2 or 3 cells down here in Oklahoma and Texas. And those cells will be very big and very dangerous. And then going into Tuesday, that cold front kind of takes over. We can see it clearly here. Stretches all the way down. That going into Tuesday and Wednesday. Actually, here's the cold front. You can see right here. You see that cold front here. And as that crashes south into the plains, it will boot up some more initiation, most likely, in this from the southern plains all the way out into New York. And going into Wednesday, we will, of course, have the some more severity down here in Texas and far southern Oklahoma around the Red River Valley. Let's go to severe weather. Let's do most unstable Cape for now. Right now, most of the moisture still is a little far south, but as the moisture just surges northward with the arrival of the system, going into Sunday and Monday, we may see some convective storms going off, but not a lot. But as Monday approaches, just watch the amount of CAPE here. Oklahoma and Texas, 2,000 to 3,000 joules per kilogram. And it just rises up to 4,000 joules per kilogram. You can't really see it on here. The GFS model isn't picking it up, but you can see where that cold front is here again for Wisconsin, South Dakota. But roughly 3,500 up to 4,500 joules per kilogram is forecasted in Iowa, northern Missouri, and that is where I think some of the stronger storms may take place for at least long track violent tornadoes. And going off into Monday night into Tuesday morning, we still have 2,000 and 2,500, if not 3,000 joules per kilogram out here in Iowa, Wisconsin, and far western Illinois, where we will continue to see a squall line start to develop. And that does stretch down the line into Oklahoma and Texas, where we do think we'll see a nocturnal weather event. And going off into the remainder of Tuesday, we still have some Cape Valleys left over as the cold front crashes down southward, bringing an all modes threat to the southern plains all the way up to New York. And we should see some more calmer weather after Wednesday and Thursday, perhaps. Looking into SRH, storm relative helicity, here on the GFS model, we have going into Sunday and Monday, we have very explosive SRH to the north. Let's go to 18Z here. We have very explosive SRH up here to the north in Wisconsin, Iowa, and then later on into the day, we may see some more SRH try to develop in Oklahoma and Texas, and maybe even there in central and western Kansas. We do have at least some SRH still trying to develop there, but it is a weakly capped environment. Just gonna look at cloud cover here. And going into Sunday into Monday, much of the northern, central, and Great Plains, most of the Great Plains, will see some thick clouds here, 100% cloud cover from the Canadian border all the way down to the Red River Valley. Oklahoma, they might get some breaks here and there, especially down there in the southeast. But going into Monday, notice how some of these clouds just start breaking, especially around Kansas and Oklahoma. And going into Monday, we see some peak heating action right here, and maybe from around the Texas and Oklahoma panhandles up through western Iowa. And that should allow for much more convective and strong thunderstorms. I'm not totally sold on this. I'm not entirely used to this one, but to that specific product, but we'll see what this kind of does in the future. Precipitation type, let's go ahead and look into reflectivity. Going into Sunday, we still have some lingering showers and thunderstorms in Oklahoma and Kansas. But going off into Monday, we can clearly see this system right here in South Dakota, and it starts to fire off a lot of convection in Iowa, eastern Nebraska, Minnesota, Wisconsin, out here where that level 4 moderate risk stands. And down the line, that when it starts to form that squall line, we can see severe storms in Texas and Oklahoma. This specific model does bring up a few supercells there in South Texas, which is a little odd to me. We start seeing some initiation there in west central Oklahoma. And all these storms in Oklahoma, although they're quite far from the main system, they can still have the possibility to produce some bigger tornadoes. But the cap's still there. It's a little questionable. And going off into Tuesday and Wednesday, we see that additional the extra storms going off into Tuesday and Wednesday. We see storms going off in eastern Oklahoma and North Texas. But the main threat will be in North Texas for, I believe, all modes. Going into the Storm Prediction Center, here's the Day 3 outlook. We have a level 4 moderate risk in western Wisconsin into southeastern Minnesota, and down into central Iowa around the Des Moines area. We have that level 4 moderate risk where we are expecting a 15% hatched risk for multiple and for a severe weather outbreak, tornado outbreak. For a couple of long track violent tornadoes are certainly a possibility, and we shouldn't rule out a one or two long track violent tornadoes from the Oklahoma Kansas border in the southeast, just east of the Wichita area, all the way up into towards the Canadian border, where we see the northwest Michigan here, and that enhanced risk, but also this level 2 slight risk going off into Oklahoma. That one is, it's still there, yes. So if we go to the probabilistic, we are still expecting significant severe weather down here in central to western Oklahoma, down to central and western, or not central Texas, but western and northwestern Texas. And I do think we might see this enhanced risk get increased down here to the south, west into Oklahoma and Texas. If confidence can increase that, a few cells can and will go off. But the question is will the cap break? We have all the ingredients in place in Oklahoma and Texas to get significant weather, but the only question is, will the cap break and how many storms can break through? Going into day 4, we have this massive slight risk here from around just east of the Midland area of Texas, up through central, southeastern, and eastern Oklahoma, northern Arkansas, southern Missouri, central to southern Illinois, all of Indiana, most of Kentucky, all of Ohio, southern Michigan, central western Pennsylvania, and much of New York is under that 15% risk there. All modes will be possible, but the main threat should be damaging winds and a little bit of hail, but the tornado threat's still there. Going into Wednesday, we have a much smaller slight risk around there in the Red River Valley, Dallas, Waco, east of the Abilene area, with all modes likely possible. And going into the excessive rainfall outlook, we still have this slight risk here. Kind of looks like a Austria, actually, but we have central Oklahoma, just southwest of the Tulsa area, down to the Red River Valley, which includes Wichita Falls, and just east of Lubbock, Texas, and north of Dallas. There's, again, slight 15 to 39% risk for flooding there. And going into the day 2, this is going to be Sunday, April 27th. We have a slight risk out here in Montana. Let's see here. Around the Billings area, and that seems to be the largest town in the area. And Sheridan, Wyoming as well. And there's a marginal risk that stretches all the way out to around the St. Paul, Minnesota area. Going into day 3, we have a large marginal risk pretty much in the same area, partially just expanded to the north, to the Canadian border, and to the east, the eastern Iowa, far northwest Illinois. Day 4 is when we are expecting some somewhat significant, maybe some significant flooding around the Red River Valley to the north. So Wichita Falls, Lawton, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, just west and north of Fort Smith, Fayetteville, Arkansas, Springfield, Missouri, and a much larger area around that as well. And we have a slight risk on the day 5 as well, April 30th. Just the same area, except it's expanded way off to the east. Oklahoma City, Dallas, Fort Smith, Fayetteville, Springfield, and just west of Little Rock. That will sum up today's forecast. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, drop a like and subscribe. And I will be live on this event on April 28th, Monday.